Hello, Journey of You family. Today, I want to talk about the importance of knowing who you are. Why is that important? Because it affects literally everything that you do. When you don't know who you are, you kind of waver in your decision making, or you feel the need to seek the approval or acceptance of others. And so you go and ask other people, well, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about doing this, but what do you think? Well, how do you feel if I did this? And it's like you constantly need somebody else to validate it or give you that stamp of approval, like, yep, that's the right path. That's the thing that you need to do. Or it's one of those things where you have two or three different decisions in front of you, and it's like, which way do I go? What do I do? And you spend so much time over analyzing and overthinking it and writing out all these different plans of like, okay, if it goes this way, here's my backup plan. Okay, and if it goes this way, then here's my backup plan. And you're constantly planning and planning and planning and writing it out, but you never make any progress forward. Or it's time for you to make an important decision. And you're like, time is of the essence. I need to make this decision. But the person you reached out to ask their opinion hasn't called back, or they're not available, or they're busy living their own life. And now you're stuck at a standstill, and time is passing you by because you're almost paralyzed in fear, not sure if you're going to make the right decision. There's never 100% guarantee that any of us are making the right decision, no matter what we do. That's why it's called faith. We're stepping out in faith. We're taking a chance, taking a risk, and seeing what happens. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works out differently than what you expected or differently than the way you started out. But when you know who you are, you make decisions differently. Everything that you do changes. The way that you carry yourself, the way that you show up, the way that you present yourself to people, the way that you interact with other people. When people come and they're like, hey, I'd like for you to do this. Are you available to do this? You don't have to right away be like, yes, sure. And then go back and be like, oh, I should have checked my calendar. Nope. You're like, let me check my calendar and my capacity. Yes, you need to also check your capacity, because just because it's available on your calendar doesn't mean you have the capacity to do it. Whether it's the mental capacity, emotional capacity, financial capacity, you need to check your capacity. So it's easy for you to say, let me get back to you. I will let you know by such and such a time. Or you could say, no, I don't have the capacity to do that at the time. If you've already seen your calendar, you already know the load that you're carrying, you can easily say no, and you don't have to give an explanation. Lisa Turker says that adults inform, children explain. You are not a child. You do not have to explain why you said no. If no is your answer, that is a complete sentence. Just say no. And so to me, I just really want to emphasize the importance of knowing who you are and why that's important. There are lots of ways to uncover who you are. What I have found is really having that blueprint is really, really essential. I actually have mine up right now on the other screen, and I can literally look at it in those moments where I'm having a rough day or I'm unsure of like, is this the best path? Should I say yes to this? Is this something I can take on? Well, I don't have to keep that narrow focus of maybe the current trial or tribulation that I'm facing. I can zoom out and see the bigger picture. Remember, we talk about elevating the level of your perspective. That's how you do it. When you can zoom out and see the bigger picture, not the problem that's right in front of you, but how does this problem fit in the bigger picture overall? Then it's like, okay, is it really that big of a problem? It seems a lot more attainable. Like, okay, I can come up with a solution to this because in the big scheme of things, this is how this fits in. So if I do this, that will help keep me moving forward here. That's whether it's in your business, your company, your personal life, your relationships. When you can zoom out and see the bigger picture, it really helps you to put things in perspective. And so even looking at my life blueprint, I spent 4 months really digging in deeper and deeper and deeper of just who am I? What do I want to do from here moving forward? In order to know where you're going, though, you have to know, first of all, where you've been and then where you're at right now. Having your life blueprint helps you to be able to see that of like, wow, okay, I've done this and I've done that. What are these things that I enjoy? What are the things that I'd like to continue doing? What are the things that I want to stop doing? Okay, and moving forward, what are those things that I would like to do in the future? Okay, Well, now when these different things present themselves to you, you could say, yes, that actually helps me do A over here. And that is going to actually help me do B over here. Okay, those are good things. Now you can put it into perspective of how it fits in the bigger picture of your life, the things that you want to be remembered for, the contributions that you want to have, the way that you want to grow. All of that factors in to really making your dash count. But the only way you can do any of those things is to know who you are. The best person to ask that obviously is your creator, because he's the one who created you. Those who didn't make you cannot break you. Those who didn't create you can't negate you. God is the one who created you. He is the one who gave you value and purpose and an identity. It's not in what you do or the roles that you fulfill, the titles that you hold. It's literally in him. And the more you get to know him, the better you get to know you, because then you're comfortable sitting still, being able to hear from him, being able to let him show you that man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson used to sing. You've got to be able to sit with that. The things that you didn't do right, the mistakes that you made, those parts along the journey, it was like, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but you're still here. You're still standing. So there's a lesson that you learned from that. Okay, what was the lesson? How can I use that now to go forward and to be better and do better in the future? That's the point of it, where you're getting to know every part of you. And so that way, when God's like, hey, you know what? Over here, you have this limiting belief. I need you to work on that. I need you to really focus in on that and let me show you why it's a limiting belief and how I can overcome that, help you to overcome that. That's why it's important to be able to write that down of, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that was a limiting belief. That's what I've always thought, or that's how it's always been done, or that's what I've always been told. So sit down and think about those things. Really get to know you. But you've got to be comfortable with sitting still and spending time with yourself, not filling it up with constantly scrolling on your phone or playing a game or watching TV, watching the news, or constant activities where you don't have time to sit still for 2 seconds and now you're running on fumes because you haven't taken the time to fill yourself back up. That includes sitting still with you, getting still with those thoughts and being able to really navigate what are the things I need to keep thinking about? What is that story I'm telling myself in my head about me? Who am I saying that I am to myself, not even to anybody else? When you look in the mirror, what are the things you're saying to yourself? How are you talking to yourself? What are you saying about yourself? Is it negative or is it positive? Is it something that's uplifting you or is it depleting you and draining you of all of your energy? It's important because every single day that you wake up, you've got to step out into this world. Whether you do that at home, in person, whatever, you've got to show up every day. There are people that are depending on you, especially if you have a family. There are people every day that they've also got needs. And so they're going to be asking, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? You've got to be able to take care of you so that you can pour into others, because you can't pour from an empty vessel. And so that starts with what you say to yourself. Because if you get up every morning and you look in the mirror and all you do is pick out your flaws and things that you don't like about yourself, you're already down before you even started the day. So then as soon as somebody else comes along and they're like, whoa, you're having a bad hair day, or like, who picked out your outfit? Just something. They might not have even been trying to be mean, but they notice visually that something is off. Now that just compounded what you already said to yourself. Now you feel even worse, when they might have either just been making a joke or just calling attention to the fact that they noticed that normally you're completely put together and today you're not. Maybe they didn't deliver it in the best way, but the way that it doesn't matter because it's how you heard it based on what you've already telling yourself. It's so important to know those weak points and your blinders, your own ones that you're carrying, because the enemy knows those weaknesses too. And he's going to come and be talking in your ear to keep your focus off of God and who he called you to be. Because again, knowing who you are helps you to then operate in purpose, on purpose, and to walk in that God-given assignment that he gave you before he placed you in your mother's womb. And the more the enemy can keep you distracted, the less that you're going to know who you are, the less you're going to operate in that purpose. And so you've got to be able to figure out what are those blinders that are keeping me from staying focused. That's why even on a horse, if you've ever ridden a horse or even watched them in a parade, and you see they always have those blinders on, that's to keep them from getting distracted. They put those there so that all they're going to do is focus on what's right in front of them. Sometimes we have to do that too. We need to put on spiritual blinders so that we can stay focused on what God has for us to do, because the enemy is constantly trying to bring distraction, and we have to stay focused. Time is of the essence, and there's someone out there that needs exactly what you have. They need your story. They need to know what those lessons were that you've learned along the way that have helped to keep you standing, that have helped you to overcome those aha moments, so that it can give them hope so that they can keep going too. Because they might not open up their Bible and read the stories of people who did it long ago. Maybe they can't relate to it, maybe they don't understand it, but they can relate to you, and they can understand you and your story because it's right now, present day. And so if you've gone through it, whether it was 10 years ago, 10 days ago, 10 months ago, but you're still here and still standing, you still got a smile on your face, you still got joy in your heart, that's because of the blood of Jesus that's covering you and the Holy Spirit living inside of you. Somebody else needs that. They need that light. They need to know what you did and how you overcame so that they can too. And then from there, they can start to learn about God and his word. But most of the time, you're the first thing they're going to see. How do you share if you don't really know who you are? How do you help them to overcome if you haven't quite figured it out yet? Maybe you're just sitting wondering, like, God, what's next? What else is in my life? What did you create me to do? How do I even get there? It starts with getting clear on who you are, even down to your personality, knowing whether or not you like being out talking to people, or if you're more reserved and would rather be to yourself, or if you're hands-on. Like, there are so many different aspects and facets of you that you need to learn and understand so then you can see how it all comes together. I love to help you do that. It really blew my mind the first time that I did it. Just really seeing like, wow, it makes so much more sense now that I've put it all together, exactly where I got hung up in limiting beliefs and why, and then how the different parts of my personality played a role even in that, but also helping me to still keep going, even when life was like pure hell right in front of me. But it was like, I can keep going. I'm going to keep going. And now I can see where all of that played together, and how even right now, present day, as I make different decisions, it's like, yep, okay, that lines up with who I am. That lines up with my values and the things I want to do. Nope, that actually doesn't line up. I don't have time for that. I can't do that right now. No, not in this season. It makes you much more confident. It makes you more secure in who you are, where you don't have to hide behind masks or labels or dim your shine because somebody else doesn't like it or someone else has a problem with it. You're like, nope, I know whose I am, and that's God's. And because you know that, you can walk around in the anointing and purpose that he's given you. Again, not that you are better than anybody else. I'm not saying that by any means. It's just the fact of knowing who you are and how important that is, and how it causes you to show up in the world every day, and how you're then able to go and produce fruit, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to produce fruit. And the only way you can do that properly is by knowing who you are and being able to show up confidently in that. And so that's what I want to encourage you with today. So I would love to talk to you more about it. If you're not sure who you are, or even what your purpose is and what you should be doing from here on out, I want to help you uncover that, because again, time is of the essence. And every day that we're gifted with life, it is just that. It's a gift. It's an opportunity for you to do better and be better, and for you to reach those people that God has assigned to you to reach. And you are the only one that can reach them in the way that you can do it. No one else can do it. I can't do it the way that you can do it. You can't do it the way that I can do it, and vice versa. So each and every one of us has our own walk and our own journey, because then there are others that are out there waiting for us to step into our place so that we can do what we're supposed to do. So if you want to continue the conversation, feel free to text me at 678-310-4357. Again, at 678-310-4357. I'd love to continue the conversation. Remember, this is your journey. It's where your life begins.